What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here, and today we were playing some Watcher of Realms. Guys, we got a little bit of a fun video, more of an announcement video, but still exciting because we finally have news about this week's summoning banner. Let's dive right into it. And welcome back, guys. So let's just dive right into it, guys. We know we have summoning banners every weekend. We finally have the announcement of what this week's summoning banner is, and I'll give you a little bit of a hint. It's this guy, right? Let's dive into the actual event info. So of course we do have our crazy invocation of spirits and crazy divine summoning. This is the pretty typical weekend of 2X's. We get this almost every weekend. We've taken a couple weeks off, but most of the time it happens every weekend. And then we have the special invocation of spirits and divine summoning, where we have an interesting, is probably the best way I can put it, selection of heroes. This is going to be a weekend to summon for a very select few people. Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest way to put it. So first things first is we have the epics here. We have Titus. He's okay, right? He's usable, but barely. And really, he's only a faction trial champion. I have seen some people use him in places like AMR, but he's just so expensive at 25 cost that it's really not worth it. Especially when someone like Orem exists, who is similar cost, but just a lot stronger. Then we have someone by the name of a Cyclone. Cyclone's actually interesting. I've heard some people are using him in some places like PvP due to his quick ultimate, allowing for knocking back and stunning. I haven't seen it myself, but maybe he's viable. And then we have probably one of the worst parts of this banner, other than Titus, and that's Theowin. And the reason it's the worst is not because he's a bad champion, but because he is a fusible champion, right? If we come down here, you can see I can make Theowin for free. So I really wish they would stop doing that. I really wish we wouldn't see Theowins, or really any of the fusibles, in the special 10Xs, except Abomination, simply because that's a one-time fusion. I'd be okay with that, but getting the epics that are just, I can fuse them as many times as I want to A5 them, it feels kind of bad. But yeah, and then we have two champions here in the legendary category. We have this first champion whose name is Pharisee. Not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but Pharisee, however you guys want to pronounce it, who is a new infernal healer. And I actually haven't looked at this guy's kit at all yet, so I'm excited to dive into it with you really quick right here. So he is a healer. He has a wide heal with damage reduction and buffing, so that's pretty interesting. His talent is after 5 seconds without performing any healing, the hero's healing multiplier for the next heal will be increased by 100%. This is pretty interesting. I don't think it's going to be that effective, if I'm being honest, because there's very few places where you're just not going to heal. But it could be very interesting in certain situations, like maybe in places such as Arena, where, you know, there's that time in between waves, you know, but really, how often do you use a healer in Arena? Very rare. Maybe in GVG as well, because a lot of the times people will wait till they hit that cap of 10 energy before they place something. Odds are that's probably about 5 seconds or longer, so you could get one real chunky heal out of him. But let's look at the rest of the kit. Maybe there's something in there involving the talent. We've got a basic, which is attack-based healing. This is awesome. Another attack-based healer, and it's to one ally, so it's single target. Not too bad, right? A little bit of a tip, guys, if you didn't already know this. Attack-based healing actually restores based on HP of the target's maxed HP and the caster's attack. So there are some situations where healing a tank, for example, you're actually going to get more healing out of your attack-based healers on a person with a higher health pool. So a little bit of an interesting tip there. Then we have the first passive, Sands Bestowal. Whenever an ally in range receives AoE damage, the received healing is increased by 10% for 10 seconds. This effect can be triggered one time every 40 seconds. This is interesting. And the reason I think this is interesting is I'm curious how this works. If any of you guys are on Forerunner and you maybe know how this guy works, is this any ally And is the cooldown per ally or just once? The reason I ask this is because we have Immortal Codex, and everyone on the field takes an AoE hit at the same time. Does this proc for everybody every 40 seconds? That could be a very interesting scenario. We're getting an entire board of healing increase. Could be very powerful. I mean, 20% for 12 seconds every 35 seconds when this is fully skilled could be really powerful, but that's going to depend on how this Sans Bestowal actually works. We're not 100% sure, at least I'm not. Maybe, again, like I said, if there's any of you guys that are on Forerunner or just happen to have this information, let me know. But this could be very powerful in some situations. On to passive 2, Sans Aegis applies AoE damage reduction to allies in range. This is just permanent, right? This is just if you're in range, you're permanent. And this range is decent, right? This is a very good range, guys. So I'm actually thinking that Firstly could be very good for this Immortal Codex, right? Because this is 5% up to 25% AoE damage reduction, which means you're going to last roughly 25% longer in Immortal Codex by using him. Could be very, very powerful. Let's look at the ultimate, and let's see if that really does check out. Ultimate, Sandy in Spirit. 900 cost, that goes down to 800 with a 500 starting cost. Not bad. Heals all allies in range one time with a 100% healing multiplier up to 140, and applies 15% inspiration to 3 allied units with the highest attack for 10 seconds. Wow, and this goes up to 20% inspiration. This is really, really awesome. Again, like I said, specifically for the Immortal Codex. He doesn't seem like he's going to have a crazy amount of usage in a lot of other areas, like right off the bat. Like, for example, he's not going to be a replacement for someone like a Hollow or a Dolores, right, in Guild Boss. I mean, I guess if you don't have a Dolores or a Constance, he could be viable, giving your 3 highest DPS a 20% inspiration buff. Could be interesting. But I'm not going to lie, he's looking interesting for Immortal Codex, specifically for my account where I don't have a ton of healers, right? I could see some value from him, but let's take a look at the Awakens before we really go any deeper. So here we go. We have Awaken 1. When Sans Bestowal is triggered, restore HP equal to 40% of Firstie's attack for the target. So this right here makes me automatically think that this passive is only for a single target. So it's going to be helpful, but it's not going to be as helpful as I originally thought. Again, it could be the way that it's worded. It could be multiple people, because if they all receive that AoE damage, technically they would all be the target. But I'm going to assume that that's not how that works, but maybe it is. We'll just have to wait and see. A2 is a flat 300 attack, pretty common. A3, the trigger interval of Sans Bestowal reduces by 5 seconds. So this is 35 seconds. And with the skill ups, I believe it went down another 5%. So it's going to end up being a 30 seconds reduction in time for a 15-second increase of 20% healing. So it's going to be a 50% uptime at A3, which is not bad. A4 is additional rage regen. We always love that on our healers. And then A5 is increase healing multiplier by 20% for 10 seconds after receiving AoE damage. Now, again, this is for an A5 legendary. This is supposed to be powerful. So if you happen to decide you want to go ham on this banner because you want Hex, the other champion on this banner, for example, and you happen to get an A5 Faircy, again, however you want to say it, this could be very powerful in Immortal Codex because he has a lot of AoE damage stuff built into his kit, right? 20% healing multiplier when he receives AoE damage. We have the inspiration, right, to buff your attack healers. We have the AoE damage increases the allies healing by up to 20%. And we also have just a flat 25% AoE damage reduction. This is really powerful in my opinion. I think that this could be a very viable hero for a lot of people. And if you are already going to be pulling for Hex, the other champion here, it could be really, really good if you happen to pull them both, right? Of course, you're going to probably want Hex because he is one of the best DPS for Guild Boss, and because of how the Infernal Lords work, you need to have at least 3 Infernal DPS to really get the oomph out of those ultimates. Hex is one of the best 3. Now, I'm sure you guys already know how Hex works, but I want to quickly talk about the Awakens because I want to decide if this is worth for me to summon on. Now, Fastidious sounds really interesting, and I may decide to summon for him because my Immortal Codex could get a bump from it. But I'm not sure if it's worth it to go in on that banner for just getting Fastidious, especially when the epics are very meh, and odds are I'm going to get a lot of the epics before I get any of the legendaries. And also, I already have Hex as a base champion, so I'm curious how these Awakens may affect his viability in Guild Boss. So first things first is his A1. During the effect of Mad Truth, there is a chance to draw the Fool. So here we have when triggered, increased damage by 140% and attack speed by 100, reduces attack interval by 50%, and replaces all cards with the Joker. So this is the ultimate, right? So the Joker is the 400%. This is his big damage. During the effect of Mad Truth, there's a chance to draw the Fool, which is 500% damage 3 times and inflicts 75% slow and burning. So this is, I mean, it's just a flat DPS increase, right? It's an additional 300% damage because we go from 400 to 500 3 times. So definitely not bad to get the A1. I wouldn't be mad about this. It's a small increase, but it's an increase nonetheless. It also will make him slightly more viable, in places where you need slowed enemies, right? Because it gives it a 75% slow. That's a big slow. A2 is flat attack. That would be awesome. I wouldn't be mad about it. A3, we have during the effect of Mad Truth, performing basic attack against targets inflicted with burning extends the duration of Mad Truth by 1 second. This is actually really, really good. It could screw up timing, which is something I'm a little concerned about. Maybe if you guys have an A3 or higher Hex, let me know. Does this allow him to just have Mad Truth up 100% of the time? Because that's something that I'm interested about. I honestly doubt it, but it's possible, right? I know that he has a really long interval when he pulls the Joker, so odds are it's not, but it could end up being something like maybe adds an extra 5 to 10 seconds, which could be really, really good. But we'll have to see. And then A4 is 5% penetration, just increases damage. We love that. And then A5, each draw returns 1 card of fate and increases each damage dealt by the Joker and the Fool by 30%. So Card of Fate is can trigger other effects at certain stacks. And I'm not sure. Let's look at the Card of Fate. Oh, here we go. When 1 card of fate with each attack, when having 4 cards, the hero has a chance to randomly obtain 1 card from the following: Temperance, which is throw 3 cards, each dealing 140% damage while inflicting slow; Death, which is 500% damage 1 time; or Strength, which is increase attack by 30% and attack speed by 70 for 25 seconds. Deals extra damage to airborne units. So this is when you have 4 cards, so you get 1 with every attack. With his A5 Awakening, you get another one, right? You get a free one for each draw. So it's going to mean he's going to get those buffs and those damage increases a little bit more often. So should you guys summon on this banner? I think there's a couple different situations. I'm not going to do what some of the other people do and break it down by category, right? Like Fastidious, I really like how he does it, but that's a lot of work for me, and he already does that. I think if you guys want to check that out, definitely go check out his Should You Summon video, which should be coming out later this week. But for me personally, it's going to come down to, do you have Hex? If the answer is yes, you probably should summon. If the answer is, you probably shouldn't summon unless you're really close to getting something like, for example, the A3, could be definitely worth it. If you don't have Hex, absolutely summon. Even if you don't have the Infernal Lord or the Zillatu or anything, it's definitely worth to have him on your account for when you do. That's my personal opinion, of course. Now, if you have Hex and you don't have Fastidious, which of course nobody does because, it's Fastidious, brand new to the game, I think he could be viable. However, I think it's going to depend on the current healers you have on your account. If you already have Sadie, Aelin, all of the really, really good healers, it's probably not going to be that good for you. However, this passive right here feels really, really good. Like, just by reading it, it feels good. Having a 25% damage reduction to allies in range just feels really strong for the Immortal Codex. We'll have to see how that works, but this is permanent. It's not during the ultimate. It's just there, which could prove to be very, very powerful. But guys, this is the banners that are coming up. A little small thing. We do have Ancients coming back. There is no 10x or anything like that. So if you want to do it, do it. I personally think you should wait, but it's there if you want to do it. A lot of people probably pulled this last weekend, so odds are you don't have any anyways, but it's an option. But guys, that's going to be it for me today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button to let me know you liked the video. Leave a comment down below with, are you summoning this weekend? If so, what banner are you summoning on? And what are the heroes you're going for? Are you going for Hex? Are you going for Percy? Maybe for some reason you're going for Theowen or Titus. I honestly doubt that, but maybe you are. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to let me know that you like the content and that you want to see more of it in the future, because you'll then be notified that it has gone live. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.